Let me see the video with Costco.
Okay.
So because Costco has not rolled back their DEI initiatives, a group of black folks went into to Costco to make purchases. They wanted to send a message that we're going to continue to support us as long as you're continuing to be in support of us and diversifying your workforce and that kind of thing. Go ahead and run it.
Can't say no to that. That's how that's going
So that's how we got to show up. I don't have a Costco membership, but I will be getting one. I'm gonna go ahead and cancel. I've always had Sam's Club, but I'm getting rid of it. I'm gonna get a Costco, and it's not convenient. It's not always convenient to boycott. Making a sacrifice is not always going to be convenient. It wasn't convenient for those people that were boycotting the bus system. Your success is always going to be on the other side of sacrifice. We got to learn how to start sacrificing, and we've gotten too comfortable.
Well, listen, I think that black people got too comfortable as a nation, period, and started getting in the space of privilege.
Absolutely.
And honey, and started looking like, well, everybody, we don't want this, and we don't want it, we don't want it, and forgot that there was a time that we were counted as a third of a person.
That's right.
A third. We were 33% human
Correct.
being.
Yes.
Then the Jim Crow era came through. We couldn't drink out of a water fountain.
Yeah.
Riding in the back of the bus. Like, so many privileges have come through now that we get in a space where it's just like, well, I don't want them to have this.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that. And I don't want to have to explain, you move the seat over and then you sit in it and you start doing the things that were taught to you.
Absolutely.
Or that you just lived through. You forget that you lived through this.
Correct.
There are people that marched and fought years ago that only a certain generation are reaping the benefits of that.
Yeah. That's true. Because there are a lot of black people that have been left behind.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We've now been broken into the haves and have-nots. I think it's important, though, to say when we're talking about this whole Target thing, because I didn't want to forget this. We were talking about this right before we went live. Again, I was having a lot of conversation with my friend, the messages that I was reading, because we had a whole dialogue about this shit the other day. Just like DEI became like this nationwide initiative and it became a part of our everyday language and conversation, there's a lot of sludge that's on the term DEI now. Like the right wing, the Republicans, white folks have now made it sound like people who aren't qualified or for a position or whatever are now given something, didn't earn it.
It's right? The same way they're using the term woke.
Correct. So a lot of these corporate companies now are moving towards a term called belonging.
Yes, Craig. Come on, explain.
So Target is now pivoting, and I don't know. And see, this is where we have to pay attention. And until we have clarity, we have to boycott. But Target is moving towards this thing called being or belonging, and so is Coca-Cola. Now, I am not saying that Coca-Cola has rolled back their DEI. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they're now pivoting and they're no longer calling it DEI. They're calling it belonging. And where they're talking about being just same tenets of DEI, where they're being more inclusive, But we have to pay attention because maybe they really are getting rid of it and they're just calling it this and they're doing damage control. Because on the 24th of January, Target put something up on their website where they were explaining that they were still going to be representing the communities in which they live in. Here it is. So it's called Belonging at Bullseye Strategy. Target's Belonging at Bullseye Strategy. And they're basically talking about still being inclusive in the communities and having a commitment and blah, 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 blah. But the thing is, we have to pay attention because that just could be in response to the backlash. Right. But it is important, and I would be remiss if I didn't explain. Some of these companies are rolling this stuff back because they are afraid of some sort of a backlash from this administration.
From the government, yes.
Whether it's in the way of losing government contracts. So, for example, like let's just say Coca-Cola was one of those companies that was afraid of getting of losing like government contracts, right? You got to think Coca-Cola is a soft drink. They have bottling companies, bottling plants, and they have fountain drinks and that kind of thing. So if you work for Social Security Administration, you may work for a prison, you may work at the Pentagon, whatever. Coca-Cola may have a government contract where they are the drink supplier. So when you go on your lunch break and you go to get your fountain drink, bitch, there's a reason that it's Coca-Cola and not Pepsi. They have a contract. So some of these companies are responding because they're afraid that they'll lose those contracts. You go to a jail to visit your boyfriend, father, husband, brother, whomever. Those drink machines may be Coca-Cola. Military bases may be Coca-Cola. So a lot of these companies are rolling back because they're afraid of not having the support of the government, right? But that doesn't mean that we don't respond accordingly. Because one of the other conversations that my friend and I had, and I did not know this. This is what I did not know.
Come on, tell me what you didn't know, because I
did not know.
I've learned that you know everything.
No, I don't know everything.
Okay,
I don't know it all.
Right, Mo?
I just share what I do know. But when someone is awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, that person's city or state does a celebration to honor them. Da, 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 da. Well, Atlanta, Georgia wasn't interested in celebrating Dr. King when he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, right? Well, Coca-Cola, for those of you who may not know, is headquartered here in Atlanta. Coca-Cola said, you either are going to honor this man or we are pulling our headquarters out of Atlanta. And you know what they did, right?
Well, I know that he received the Nobel Peace Prize.
And they also motherfucking celebrated too, bitch. Now, I'm not saying that Coca-Cola is the perfect company, because I remember when I was in high school, bitch, and I was black like this even back then. I remember.
Go ahead.
I remember they did not want to divest from apartheid. They were located down in South Africa. Coca-Cola, that is.
Okay.
So I'm not saying that they have a clean slate.
But again, I'm going to tap you on your shoulder.
Tap me, bitch.
We don't know who's the head over there at those places.
That's right.
Because what we learned, the reason why certain places ain't rolled back, because there's an LGBTQIA person at the helm.
Right. That's right.
And isn't it ironic?
Right.
How a fag who is hated from both sides of the scale,
but is concerned about protecting.
Ain't that some shit?
Protecting your shit.
How do we? This is what I want to know.
We can't always consider you and you not consider us.
How are we as faggots?
Mm-hmm. And it goes back to something that I've said here many times. Black queer people have been at the forefront of every major movement in this country. Every major movement in this country. Black trans women, black lesbians, black gay men. And
can you give examples? Because sometimes they don't know. Can you break it, Craig? You do know this, right?
I do.
You don't know everything, but this
but this I know.
I'm going to turn this way so I can be invested.
Right. And I'm not saying that there weren't other people. I'm not saying that there weren't white queer people, but we're specifically talking to the black folks right now. Because you say I don't get on to the black folks, but I do.
No, I didn't say you don't get on them.
Oh.
I say you don't stay on them like I do.
Oh, okay. Well, we on them today.
Well, come on. Go ahead.
Black queer people have been at the forefront of every major movement, whether you're talking about civil rights.
We need names.
Marsha P. Johnson. Joseph Beam. Like there's so many people at the forefront of them. But Bayard Rustin.
Yeah, because we need them to get in Google.
Right. Bayard Rustin.
Mm-hmm.
Bayard Rustin was Dr. King's right-hand man. Bayard Rustin organized the March on Washington. Bayard Rustin organized the Freedom Riders, those buses that were going cross country. Bayard Rustin did that. So again, Black queer people have been at the forefront of every major movement in this country. Civil rights, women's rights, HIV/AIDS. And so in my opinion, Black queer people saved the Black community.
Come on,
There's a lot that is owed to Black queer people.
I'm squeezing your arm.
Go ahead.
Because I need you to talk about
James Baldwin is another
Let's
one.
talk about the Black lesbians, where they headed. Come on.
No, that's what I'm saying. They were all there too.
No, but the groups, I want you to name the group.
I don't know the names of the groups now. You want to name specific groups?
Yes.
I don't know the group. Do you know the names of the groups?
It wasn't Black Lives Matter?
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, that's what you're talking about. I'm sorry. I thought you meant back then.
Yeah.
Yes, Black Lives Matter. And I know a lot of people are going to feel away because there's been so much stuff about Black Lives Matter where they talked about funds being misappropriated and this, that, and the third. But Black Lives Matter was started and formed by Black queer women. And I just came across a post by her about a week or so ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. And she was saying that there were organizations that were popping up calling themselves Black Lives Matter, but it wasn't really Black Lives Matter. It wasn't their organization. So some of that stuff that happened in the news, it wasn't them. And they caught the rap for some of that stuff. So again, I believe that Black queer people saved the Black community because when Black folks, especially Black church folks, were saying that AIDS was a gay white disease, they didn't want to deal
Ronald Reagan wouldn't even say the word AIDS on television.
That's right.
Nancy Dick sucking Reagan, bitch, and motherfucking Ronald Reagan made it their business to not fund treatment for people living with AIDS.
Yeah.
Because they deemed it as a homosexual disease. It wasn't till the girls started being gathered up.
That's right.
It wasn't till the girls wasn't being gathered up.
That's right. So we've been at the forefront of every major movement because we care about Black people. We care about the Black community, but the Black community has ostracized us in a lot of ways. You know, and the first season of I have a web series on my YouTube channel called Telling Our Stories. The first season, I had a conversation with Black queer men and women. And we talked about what it feels like to be Black in the Black community, especially when race relations come into play, and how we sometimes feel othered. We sometimes feel ostracized by Black people as if we're less than Black because we're queer. And I say queer because some people identify as gay, some people identify as trans, lesbian, da-da-da-da.
And it seems like in this new regime is coming that queer people are going to have to be on the front line again. Because unfortunately, as much as I can't stand as pro as you, because I can't erase the side of me that is that. My enemy is all around me.
Yeah.
My enemy is not just white supremacy.
Right.
Hello?
And mine isn't either. And I know that there are Black people who don't see it for us. But for me, I can't punish all Black people because of.
I don't punish all.
You know what I mean?
I don't punish all. I just can't stand up there and just be like, I gotta lay my transness to the side because I'm Black and trans at the same time. I can't lay that down and be like, because if I lay that down and I'm over there with my sword and shield out on the streets fighting about that, once that battle is won, I got to turn and fight the same people that I was fighting next to.
Absolutely.
I have to turn next to them and defend myself against them.
Yes. That's true.
So it's not one or the other. It's all at the same motherfucking time.
Angela Davis is queer. I'm telling you, we have been at the forefront of every major movement. Angela Davis is queer. James Baldwin was a gay man. There's been conversation that Malcolm X was bisexual.
You said that the girls wanted
to they were upset with me when I said that a while ago.
They want to slit your throat.
I know they did. But this is why I have said repeatedly, Black queer people, and this is just my opinion, are God's most gifted and God's most talented.
Honey, we are God anointed queens.
Listen.
We are God. I know I am. And God knew I was going to suck dick when I got here. He knew that. That's why he darkened my knees and elbows from the beginning. He knew I was gonna be on him. What the fuck you talking about, Mo? He knew that.
But the Zora Neale Hurstons of the world, the Langston Hugheses of the world, like we are art, we are culture. We're the musicians, we're the writers, we're the attorneys, we're the doctors, we're the lawyers. And I'm not saying that there aren't straight people who occupy those spaces. I am not saying that. But what I am saying is Alice Walker. Like the literature that you consume, we created. We did that. So it's almost like when we reduce it down to the basic stuff, like when we talk about sometimes we're only accepted when we're a hairstylist or makeup artist or a fashion stylist, you know, somebody to dress you. But we also give you your art, your music, your movies, your books. So you accept us for our creation.
Your film.
Correct.
Your beauty. Your beauty.
But when you really, and to all my Black queer people, and this is why I was encouraged you to stand tall, but you really have to know your Black queer history.
Answer this question.
You have to know your Black queer history. Because if you understood and knew your Black queer history, Alvin Ailey, another gay man, once you understand and know your Black queer history, you're not going to walk around with your head down. You're going to walk with your head tall.
Answer that.
How do you feel?
Oh, sorry. Oh. I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me go back. Right there.
How do y'all feel about the 92% Black women choosing to step back and out of the way where they're unappreciated? I agree with that.
I feel the same way.
It's time for us to be focused on us.
And I don't mean us as in me not being a part of that. I'm sorry, Craig, that I got to say that.
Yeah.
You may not have to say that, but I do.
Yeah. You saying not be a part of
the Black women
that are stepping.
Yeah. And the Black men. Here's a hard truth that I want y'all to hear coming from my mouth. Take that comment down. I'm Black. I'm Black and trans. I'm a Black man. I'm a Black woman by presentation. I'm fat. I'm loud. There's so many layers to everything to every arrow, every dot, every dagger that comes from every area.
Yeah.
I check in the box in every area.
Yeah.
So don't tell me how I feel or how to feel.
Yeah. Yeah. And see, and I think that this is why, because there's I went to this it wasn't a benefit dinner. It was more like it's more like an awards dinner. This was the year before last. I went to it in New York, but they have it every year. It's called Native Son Awards.
Thank you, Gemini.
And they honor Black queer people in film and media. Because I think it's important that we know who's doing what. I think it's important that we see each other and we see what we're doing because representation matters. I know we hear that a lot. But it's important to offer some sort of visibility so that we know that there's more, that we can aspire to more. And I think it's such a great concept. And I think it's something that needs to really grow, because I just don't think that we're recognized enough. And I don't think that we know enough about, and I've said this even in my friendship circles, we don't network. Black queer people, we don't network as well as white queer people do.
That's why, hold on.
Go ahead.
I may have to shake the table a little bit.
Go ahead.
Yes, we do.
You think we network as well as they do?
Not as well, but we network.
No, we network, but I'm saying I don't think we network as well as they do. And I'll explain what I mean, but go ahead.
Maybe you should do that first.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, in our community, and I don't go to clubs and stuff like that anymore, but I used to tear the clubs up when I was in my 20s and 30s, but early 30s. But I remember going to the club and I would see the same people all the time. May even go to their house and have barbecues and things like that, but never knew what these people did for a living. You don't know what space they occupy in their profession. You don't know what company they work for. You don't know what their job responsibilities are. And I think that handicaps us because let's just say I'm buying my first house. You may work at a bank, a mortgage company, but I don't know that because we're not having a conversation about that. We protect our career in our community because I believe, and I'm not saying that I'm right, but I think I'm pretty on it.
Let me hear what you're going to say.
I don't think we share our career because it's connected to our closetedness. I don't want you to know what I do for a living because I don't need you to, because I'm closeted at work. And I don't need you to bring your motherfucking ass up to my job if we're dating and you try to out me. Or we got a beef. We may know each other. We may have dated the same guy. I don't need you to come up to my job trying to get me fired. So we sometimes covet our career. We don't talk about what we do. People go out to clubs all the time. You go out having drinks and all these things, but you never say, well, what do you do for a living? What kind of work do you do? Like, we don't talk about that kind of stuff. I'm not saying that there aren't silos.
Well, not in these days, because most of the girls meet each other because there's OnlyFans.